Hey, I'm making this video because I wanted to share about a student of mine who I just saw really firsthand what happens when a child can't spell, right? We were working on some words that he had gotten from school that were his vocab words, and they were words like imagine, observer, free, rhyme, bounce, and there's some others as well. But he was having a lot of trouble spelling these words, and it was the same words over and over. He would mess them up in the same way every time, and I could see him becoming frustrated and just going and he kept doing this, but we weren't stopping. He wasn't saying, oh, I hate this or anything like that. He was just like, I could see the frustration was more with himself. But we kept going. And then eventually I started seeing him rub his eyes. I started seeing him, like his eyes, like I could see the eyelashes from my angle. His eyelashes looked like they were getting wet. And after a certain point, I stopped him and I said, hey, I can see you're getting frustrated. And he nodded his head yes, and some tears started rolling down his cheeks. And he said to me, I'm not dumb. And to me, that's like wow, very clearly, he's seeing that he's challenged with these words that he got from school. So he feels like he's supposed to know this, right? And he's not able to do it, or he was doing it, but he was messing it up over and over and over again. And the feeling that it was giving him was that he was dumb. And it's really unfortunate because you could see how not being able to spell, just something as simple as that, was having this effect where it was hurting his confidence, right? And I was able to give him a hug, support him, and really just show him like, hey, it's okay to be frustrated, and it's okay that you're messing it up right now, and we're gonna get this right. And he, was like, he was ready to keep going. He didn't want to stop, right? So that wasn't the problem. We did keep going, and eventually, by the time I left there, he was able to spell those words no problem. He was very proud of himself. He was like, yes, right? And I'm glad that I got to support him through that. But why I'm bringing this up is because when a child can't spell, it hurts their confidence. And not only that, there is this thing that's happening today, and this is what I told him, where kids are unconsciously being taught to expect things right away. The games that they play are digital games. They're playing video games on their phones or on their, consoles, whatever. Or they're watching shows on their screens. Something as simple as, when I was a kid growing up, the television was in one spot of the house, and I didn't have one in my room, at least not early on, and you could watch what was on the television. It wasn't on demand, it was whatever was playing in that moment. And then you also had to wait like what felt like forever for commercials, and I'm sharing that not because I think television, we got to go back to the days of television, everybody. We got to go back to, I'm not saying that, obviously. I don't have a television in my house right now. And that's on purpose. But what I'm saying is there is so little opportunity for a child today to need to wait for something. Even when you get something delivered to you, it gets to your place in 2 days or less, with Amazon now. I remember you would order something and it would be weeks before it would get to you, and you'd be happy then, right? But there's so little opportunity for a child to have to put in effort and not get something right away, to have to wait for anything. Their expectation is to get something right away all the time, and when they don't, there's a lot of frustration there, and there's nobody there to actually support them through that frustration, to support them to the next level of when it comes to, let's say, doing math, when it comes to reading, when it comes to learning anything, any skill, not even just the academics, but like a physical skill as well. There's very little opportunity and very little support for them to actually work through something that they're unfamiliar with and get really good at it, and pass through that phase of being bad at something. And this is so crucial today, because what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of kids who they're just going to want they're going to become adults who just want the easy fix. And when somebody wants an easy fix and they can't do it on their own, they are very easily manipulated, because, well, I mean, they don't know how to do it. They can't do it. They need somebody to offer them, hey, I can fix that for you, but here's what it's going to cost. You're going to have to give this up. You're going to have to do this for me. And they'll be happy with it, because to them, it wasn't going to get done unless this guy came along with this offer, right? And what that looks like, especially in the age of AI, is, whoa, they're just going to expect even the foods. I'm just thinking about like how kids will eat fast food or easy foods that are highly processed because they're easier to cook. You pop them in the microwave, you just go pull up to the driveway, whatever, boom, boom, it's done. You don't have to learn how to cook. You don't have to go through the trial and error. But especially with the age of AI, they're going to have information at their fingertips all the time, but that information is not always going to be accurate. It's just going to manipulate them. As an example, I was in a group chat and I was mentioning, somebody had put in the chat, hey, look at this, NVIDIA's doing something with space where they're basically putting, I don't know, like some servers, a version of servers into space so that we have more access or more space rather for building data centers and things like that, or a version or some part, some aspect of that for building a huge AI. And I said, oh, this is just like in this book that I read called Fall or Dodge in Hell. And they put the compute and the energy centers for what they called Bitworld, which was like their AI system, into space. And then I went to go onto ChatGPT to confirm that. And I typed that into ChatGPT and I said, hey, don't they do this in this book? And they said, what it replied back was, no, that was implied in the book, but it never explicitly says that. And I'm like, really? And I'm thinking about it like, I'm pretty sure that happened in the book. And so I pushed back, I questioned it more, and I'm like, are you sure? And it keeps telling me, no, you're thinking deeply about this, but that was never mentioned in the book. It was just implied. Yeah, you're just basically, making that up. And I was like, I feel like that's wrong. And it's been a while since I read the book, but let me just go flip through the book. And I flipped through the book, and because I read it, I knew where to look, and I found, this very explicit passage of it saying, yeah, we put the chips or whatever into space. We put this way of generating energy into space, and it was able to save us on cooling costs and this and that or whatever. And I'm like, it says it explicitly right here. And here, this AI, whether out of not having the information and hallucinating and just trying to sound confident because it didn't actually read the book, or because of some malintent, which I doubt that's actually the case. But regardless, it's telling me something, saying it with confidence. Even when I push back, it's like, no. And it sounds really plausible, right? But it's giving me wrong information. And, you got all these people who will say, oh, you don't need to read when you can just go onto the AI and have it summarize, 100 books for you. And I'm like, but that's not the same. And how do you even know if the information that it's giving you is accurate? Like, you don't. And it's not. And you have no way to push back on that because you're just accepting it at face value. Imagine when you get to the kids who are not faced with having to push through frustration. If you can't do that, well, one, you're never going to learn how to do challenging things, and you're going to be stuck forever in a immature state. But two, you're also going to be fed just whatever's going to entertain you in the moment, whatever's going to give you a good feeling in the moment, and that's going to be used to manipulate you. That is a manipulation in itself, because they know, hey, just like social media today, we give you this dopamine rush, you'll keep coming back, and we get to advertise you, and we make money off of you just by you giving us your attention. And perhaps we influence you as well in other ways, where now, because you've seen so many videos of somebody talking about this point of activism, you think that is the righteous thing to do. And now you, with a righteous attitude, champion that when you talk to your friends or you talk to your family members or whatever. Meanwhile, it's the talking point of some politician or some corporation or somebody who wants to take advantage of others and is doing it in this insidious way. And so if you really want to prepare your children so that they're not living under the thumb of somebody else, you have to support them, number one, to be able to understand reality, but number two, just as important, to be able to push through challenges, to be able to push through challenges, to actually do what is best, to make decisions that are best, and to actually understand what that means, right? And that's definitely not happening at school. I can tell you that. Number one, because at school, they're giving kids these, very small slice of vocab words that they're not even supporting that child to learn actually effectively. They move on to the next thing, and all it does is support that child to feel less confident about themselves, to feel dumb. And what they're teaching at school has really very, very little, if anything at all, to do with life. And if you are putting your child in that environment, you are shortchanging them, unfortunately, for them. And if you want to actually give your child the best opportunity, you have to reassess that. And I would suggest, if you really want to challenge yourself to give your child the best opportunities, reach out, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. All right, that's all for me. See you on the next one. Bye.